Hi everyone, my name is Nicola from Officiumns. So today's tips and tricks video, we're going to be looking at Google Analytics. Now this is just going to be a very quick, and when I say quick, I'm going to aim to keep this between 10 and 15 minutes. Normally our tips and tricks videos are a lot shorter, because I know that's what you guys like, but this one's just turned out to be a little bit longer because there's just a couple of things that need to look at, because otherwise it could probably be a little bit rushed. So we've kind of got access to the Google Analytics for one of my customers who's been in business now for over 10 years, and her website has had Google Analytics doing its thing for that entire time. So it's quite a powerful tool to look at. So quickly, just Google Analytics, for those that doesn't know, is a free tool that's provided via Google. And what happens is, if you've got a website, this is a great tool to kind of look at what's happening in regards to traffic and who's looking at your site, how they're behaving, what kind of device they're on, the age brackets. The list just goes on and on of how powerful Google Analytics is. So basically, if you've got a website, you should be using Google Analytics. So hopefully you are, and if not, maybe kind of go and check it out. Okay, so let's jump in and look at audience first of all. So when you click on audience here on the left hand side of the menu, as you can see, there's a lot of options in here, and I think the key with Google Analytics is not to get overwhelmed because there's a lot going on. So we're just going to jump in and look at overview, the very top option, and audience here. Okay, so as you can see, it just gives you a snapshot instantly of what's happening in the last week. So you can change the dates. Sorry, excuse me, it's remembered from when I was in here last. So as a default, Google Analytics will always look at the last week, but I've set it to look at the last month. So we're going to be looking at Feb 1st to 1st of March. Okay, so that's all ready to go. So as I said, this is just an overview page. So it looks at users, new users, sessions, the time, the average session time. And the one thing I wanted to touch on a little bit more is the bounce rate here. So currently the bounce rate for this lady's site is 39.82, which is pretty good. It falls in the butter zone of what's recommended. And as a rule of thumb, the optimal space to be in is 26 to 40%. Okay, so to explain what a bounce rate is essentially, think of like when you throw a ball, it bounces its destination and then bounces off. So essentially that's what a bounce rate is with your website. That's everyone that visits your website that goes no further than the page they've landed on. So no action or no activity is taken past the page that they land on. So they're not clicking through to your services or a contact us page, or just no further action. So they've gone there and gone, oh, okay, well, this is not what I expected, or I can't find what I want on the homepage. So they instantly leave. Okay, so we don't want that. We want people to hang around and look and investigate further. And so I think it's good to keep an eye on your bounce rate, because it's a good indicator that sometimes if it's higher, it may be that there's just something not quite right with your homepage. So it may just be a little bit too busy, or say if someone's accessing it on a mobile device, just the layout may not be as friendly for them, so they struggle to find what they're looking for. So when you're building a website, you've got to consider what the user is going to be needing out of a visit to your website. So that you kind of got to put that hat on when you're looking at things. So if you're new to Google Analytics and how that works, I think the bounce rate is quite a cool feature to keep an eye on. And also not to stress as well if it is higher. Because initially when you've launched a website or you launched your business, you're going to get a lot of people that are just going to come for a look, basically. And they're going to window shop and go, oh yeah, cool, I've been to their website, they said to go and have a look, I did it, and then they move on. So as time presses on, you can change this date range and just keep an eye on your bounce rate and try and get it down into that lower, below 50, and just keep an eye on that. So quickly, we're just going to look at here the pie graph on the right hand side. This is your new visitors in the blue and your returning visitors in the green. So for this lady, because she's quite established here on the Sunshine Coast for over 10 years. She has a health-based clinic. So the fact that she's got, basically 75% for new visitors is pretty impressive. It just shows her standing within the community, is that she's getting that high rate of new visitors versus returning visitors. So that's brilliant. So just another thing to keep an eye on within this dashboard. So we're just going to jump on down quickly to demographics and overview. So again, this is just a snapshot. So we've got 65% female and 35% male, and these are the users that have come to the website again in this time period. And then over here on the left hand side we've got the age bracket. So for her it's quite increased. So basically 27% of her users are in that 25 to 34 year old age bracket. So this data would be quite useful if she was kind of looking at maybe spending some money in some sort of media, or possibly a print magazine or an editorial, where there's really strong data from the place that she may be considering advertising with in regards to who their target market is. So again, this is a really good way to sort of get your best bang for your buck if you are looking at venturing out, or who you think your target market is. Versus who they actually are, because a lot of time people that have gone into business kind of make assumptions that may not be quite right. I know that my target market are mum and dad businesses, and their age bracket is 45 to 54, and they're all females. It's tempting because we kind of think we know our target market, but sometimes it pays to look at these analytics, and this platform is a fantastic way of doing that. So rather than be blinded by what's going on here, we're going to jump on down to acquisition quickly, and again look at overview. So this is a little insight into basically how people have found you. So for this particular business, a large majority of her users have come via organic search. So that's basically 76%, and then the next highest is direct. So that's people that have been, so I've said to someone, oh mate, you got to go and see this lady, she's brilliant, blah blah blah, here's her website, and that person's typed it in directly and they've gone directly there. So you might find that when you're new, a lot of your percentage, it might be quite a high percentage, comes from your social section here. So again, that's just a really good way of keeping an eye on how things are working for you, particularly if you're using paid advertising, like maybe on Facebook, or whether you're looking at sort of an organic reach via Facebook. And if you've been out networking and things like that, you can kind of see how people are behaving when they reach you, and how they're reaching your website. Okay, so we're going to have a look now at behavior and site content and all pages. So this is a ranking that Google Analytics does to the pages that have been visited the most, the highest ranking, and working downwards. Okay, so for this lady, she has an online booking diary service where you can book in to see her because she's so busy. And so you'll see here, number 1 is the booking diary, number 2 is her homepage, and then it goes specials, contact, and then down the list. So why I wanted to show you this was because basically it's interesting to see that although she has a lot of new visitors, people are ultimately going to her booking diary page first, because when people search for her or the business or the services that she offers, Google actually recognises, because she's such an established customer, that predominantly people are wanting to contact her and book straight away because of her reputation. So this is where Google Analytics are quite powerful. It's pushing people to her bookings diaries page. So when you Google a service and Google recognises that what they're actually looking for is that, they will actually show that in the results over and above her homepage. Don't get me wrong, that'll be there as well, but it will be highly featured as well, kind of, did you mean this type scenario, and it will be in the top 3 options for the search return. So this is quite interesting to keep an eye on, in that it really kind of dictates and shows what people are looking for when they're coming to your site. So today, guys, as I said, I'm going to try and keep this really short, but in essence, I can't reiterate enough, there's a lot to see in Google Analytics, and it can be quite overwhelming, and unfortunately a lot of businesses just don't use it. And all of this information is exportable, so up here on the right hand side up the top you can just click export and you can download the data and kind of look at it in your leisure. Sometimes, you know, it's nice to have a printed copy of what you're seeing, and it's a very powerful tool that businesses should be using, particularly if they don't have the money to spend on looking at, you know, getting expensive reports done and things like that. So it's a free, powerful service that I think any business should be using. So guys, I'm going to leave it there today, and I just really wanted to reiterate and end on the fact that if there's anything that you would like to know more about Google Analytics, then I'm certainly happy to do a video for you. That's not a problem. Please just message me, whether it's via the contact page on the website or just comment below on YouTube, and we can sort something out for you. And that's it for today. So keep an eye out next time round, probably in a couple of weeks time, 2 or 3 weeks time, I'm going to be doing my next video, and that's going to be looking at a feature within Xero, the accounting package. So I'm going to be doing a video on the new versus classic invoicing options in Xero. I've got a couple of customers that really struggle with the new look invoicing options. So I'm going to be kind of doing a bit of a pros and cons, just seeing the differences between the two, because I'm finding a lot of people aren't switching over to the new invoicing, and it does have some really cool features, but ultimately it's the decision of the end user. So check in for that, or subscribe via the subscribe button at the end of the video, and we will see you next time, and have a great day.